Hey, what's going on there, YouTube?
What's up out there? Everybody, it's JVS one more time coming at you live. Well, not necessarily live, but you know what we mean. So we just came from watching Ant-Man in the IMAX theater, the large IMAX in was it Chantilly, Virginia?
It was in Chantilly, Virginia, the Airbus Air and Space Museum, the same exact place that they actually filmed for Transformers 2. Which we showed you a little bit of like footage for that in the beginning of the clip. So hopefully you like that, but it was epic. And I mean, to have something that's 6 stories tall and you be able to look and actually immerse yourself into this, it's weird because you're looking at a character that's so minuscule and so small, but because of the detail, like you could see them all throughout the screen, and it made the experience so much better in IMAX and 3D. So for me, like even before we even go into this, like I can't imagine not looking at this in IMAX 3D. I feel like if I looked at it in regular, it would do a disservice to what they've really achieved in this. And I think that I would highly recommend you go and definitely watch it in IMAX 3D. Secondly, there are 2 credits. Like at the end of the movie, definitely go and watch the regular post credits and then the pre-credits, because there are 2 different distinct things that go on, and they're huge. They're not like a cop-out, they're not funny, they're really big. So I would definitely check those out. But yeah, let's jump into this, Joe. So the look and the visuals of this movie, the CG. What did you feel about this movie? Like I know we had weird expectations going into the movie. Like me, I was like excited because this is a new Marvel film. I knew they were gonna incorporate him some kind of way. I was sad that Hank Pym was not playing a hand in like the creation of Ultron like he was in the comics. And at the same exact time, like when they picked Michael Douglas to be him, I was like, an older Ant-Man, like this doesn't make sense, you know? But when we finally got into the theater, we saw like what was really going down. There is some seriously heavy CG, but what are your thoughts, I guess, on it?
Yeah, CG was amazing, to say the least. I don't know whether it was because we watched it in IMAX 3D or it was just on point. Like, it's probably both, but the CG was amazing, man. Like, because like when he would transform into like, or shrink rather, well, the detail of like the setting and the environment he was in, it changed the spice like unimaginable. It was so crazy, and like he'll be one place and he'll just shrink, and it totally changed the perspective on where he's at.
Yeah,
it's like a totally different world. Like, and it's crazy the things he has to go through, and cause he's so small, like he has to go through some types of pipes, vents, and it's literally nuts.
Yeah,
it's nuts. And to see it, they did a really good job. I mean, it's not over the top, but at the same time, the visuals are, I mean, they're very believable. Like,
yeah.
To look at, because the way they have it, sized, they focus on him, and they kind of, in some scenes and some shots, they have the background kind of out of focus. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool how they do it.
Yeah.
I think, and then even how he's going through like some of these locations, and like his orientation changes. Like he's upside down, flipping around in space, and it's just like the way they have the camera angles. They do a good job with that too.
Yeah.
So it puts you right into action.
Yeah. With one of the beginning sequences, the beginning parts of this movie, it takes place a little bit early on, like I think in the 1980s. And there's a scene that happens.
1989.
And when you see the scene and you see the actors in it, like that in and of itself, that wasn't just makeup, that was really good CG. And how, like Joe said, with every action sequence, there's a blurred effect that you'll see. Like you'll see an outline of him, but then it'll like streak down and go woof, woof, woof. And like with every single time he goes up or back, in and out, no matter what, like he's always shifting and changes. And because of the suit and the way it's actually done, it's just beautiful to watch. Because I instantly see those riveting lines. It's not like you just see something just go and collapse like that. You actually see it in a small doses. And like when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, wow, that looks really cool. But when I actually looked at what he had to go through, I was like, the trailers do it a disservice. Like, it's some seriously amazing action moments. And like, towards the last half of the movie, it was like some of the best action sequences I've seen Marvel actually do. Like, it was comparable to like the action that was going on in like Guardians. Like, I didn't expect the stuff that going on in Guardians, just like I didn't expect this. And as far as visually is concerned, it's one of the best they've done. Even like with the score, it was like some upbeat stuff. Like, there was one moment where there was a fight sequence towards the end, and this song just jumped up, and I was like, this is a nod, you know, to Marvel going and like taking something they've done with Guardians and then adding an element into this. But there are so many different moments that's eye candy in this one, and I don't just mean like from a visual perspective, but just from an imagery one. Like, bringing in characters that you would not expect, they are all in this, and it's really well done. So I had to give the visual effects actually a 10 out of 10. What was the number you want to give it?
I'll give it a 10.
Yeah, so I guess we give that an A+ as far as the visual effects. But then you got the actors. So that plays the main character, Scott Lang. You got Paul Rudd. You got Michael Douglas is playing Hank Pym. You got the girl from the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit series that plays the Elfin girl. What is her name? I can't remember for the life of me. I'm gonna find it right now. Let me see what her name is. Her name is... What is that? Is it Evelyn Lilly? Yeah. So Evelyn Lilly, she plays the role of Hope Pym. And then you got Corey Stahl that plays Darren Cross. And then like everybody else is really just supporting actors. But I think what surprises me is Michael Pena that plays Luis, David Duchovny that plays Kurt, and then T.I. that plays Dave. These characters, when you first see them, you're thinking, all right, you're not going to see much more of them in this movie. But they actually fit really well with how the dynamics of how Scott Lang is. Like, Paul Rudd takes this role to a different level because physically, I can see he's really been working out. I can see he's really dedicated. He's not just funny for the heck of it. Like, he really has substance to the character. And one of the things that when I first saw him, I was like, man, there's something else about this guy. Like, he starts off in a fight, you know what I'm saying, like in prison. And then you find out like there's more to him. And that revolves around the whole entire thing. Even when the first time you actually see him pulling a job, like, I'm like, this dude's got a skill set, you know, and like, he's smart. And I think it was the same exact thing that I felt with Michael Douglas. With Michael Douglas's character as Hank Pym, like, he's a firecracker. Like, he is not somebody that you want to mess with. And like, early on, like, you see it, but then when there's certain things that come up, like, he kind of has this Morpheus feel to him. Like, there was this one scene where he was trying to help out Scott Lang with the suit, and like, he kind of put him on trial through fire. I was like, man, this feels like Neo, when Neo's trying to get through like his office and try to navigate out with Morpheus directing him. I felt like it was that same kind of moment with that. But everybody played their role. Even like the guy that played Darren Cross, I thought that he did a good job. I thought he did a really good job. But what did you think about the acting in this one?
I think it was good. I think they had a very I think they had a good cast. I mean, because there was a lot of funny parts.
There's a lot of funny.
But most of the for me, like, most of the funny parts were cleverly done, because a lot of the characters, you know what I'm saying, they're kind of have like a criminal background or something like that, which are the main like funny characters, and they're very clever, and that comes across through their dialogue, and that what makes it a lot like really funny.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, they're very like, well, most of them are fairly serious as far as like character wise. Especially with the doctor and his daughter, they have like, when they go back and forth and they show their relationship.
Oh, to my Michael Douglas and what's the name? That was some serious depth to that.
Yeah, they added a lot of depth to the as far as like the acting. So I think all around they had a great cast.
Yeah. I think that the character Hope Pym as well, like she was very different. Like at first I really didn't like her. I was like, dude, why you got so much attitude? You know what I'm saying? But then when I started really cycling through who she was, I was like, I can understand where this is all coming from, where all this anger and all this animosity and sarcasm. And at the same time, you're the daughter of Hank Pym. You know what I'm saying? Like genius and revolutionary. But I guess this is a good segue into the story, because when we first see like Hank Pym, we get a glimpse at who he was, you know what I'm saying, and how amazing this suit and what he's done, what he created has like achieved, but at the same time the danger and the implications behind it all. But with the story, they found a way of merging the whole Marvel universe into it all. We were having a conversation with one of my friends that went with us, Aaron. Shout out to Aaron. When we were looking at the movie, we came back, and we were talking about this one scene where Scott was talking with Hank, and they were like, well, what happens if you like shrink too small? And he basically kind of told, this is kind of a small spoiler, but if you continue to shrink, you will not stop. You will go past the point of the nucleus or matter or molecules. You will just continuously go in. And that in and of itself, that's a whole different dimension. And to be able to talk stuff like that caters to something like Doctor Strange being able to come in. But even more so than that, like the founders of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the stuff that went on in Hydra, Hank Pym had his hands all in it. And like they explained that in this story arc. They cater to it. They show like not just Hank Pym is just this scientist, like he's a serious asset, he's a serious threat, but at the same exact time he fought for his country, he fought for people. And it's like interesting to see Michael Douglas play an older version of him that's trying to pass on the mantle, because there's so many different things and people that feel as though they are supposed to be the heirs. And to have a character like Scott Lang be so humble and different, and a criminal, it made for great screenplay. I think that Edgar Wright, the director that was supposed to be initial one and that ended up going out, I felt his hands on this, if that makes sense. Because the screenplay, the wittiness, but then like the feel of this was really different. You know what I'm saying? Like it felt like how Guardians felt. When I first looked at it, I was like, man, I can't believe how funny and how awesome this is visually from a science fiction standpoint. But this movie, it wasn't necessarily science fiction at all. It was funny. It was for adults in certain levels. But then more than that, it kind of had like this Ocean's 11 / Avengers feel to it. And I don't know how to I can't put it in a demographic. It's its own movie. And that had to be done a certain kind of way through the story and through the scripting. And at the same time, the cast has to love the characters they're doing. And that's how I felt most of the time when I was looking at this movie. But what did you feel when you were looking at it? I guess when you got to the midway point of the movie, what were you feeling?
It was an awesome movie. All I was just thinking, like, that was going through my head. This is an awesome movie. This is an awesome ride to go along on. Like, just being able to watch it, and even, I mean, the story, it wasn't a complicated story. But at the same time, it had a lot of different elements to it that made it a good movie. Mm-hmm. Made it a really great action movie too, because you had a lot of espionage, you had a lot of just, you know, science fiction like you mentioned, and then you had like a hero who came from you know, like a criminal background, you know, so that's like, how would you do that? So that made the character even more enjoyable. Yeah. But yeah, it was just an awesome ride. Like, you have to watch it. Like, it's just a movie I would recommend to my friends, family. I mean, there was some like
there is language.
There is like some harsh language, but I mean, I would still say it's, on some levels, it is a family movie. It has a lot of strong family values behind it.
It does.
But if you don't mind your kids listen to some strong language now, but
I will go and check it out first yourself, so you can be able to cover their ears at the moments beforehand. So watch the movie first, and then bring your kids with it. That way you can kind of like, oh, wait, stop, you know. But there's not any visual eye candy. There's not anything too lewd as far as what you're seeing. But there is a lot of death. There is a lot of violence, and there's a lot of stuff that goes down. But all around, like, I can see why people really love this movie. And I'm now a lover of Ant-Man. I never thought going in that I'd be like, man, like, I like Ant-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they even talked about it, I was like, Ant-Man. You know, I'm glad that they're adding more characters, but I wasn't, this was one of the movies that I was not thrilled to watch. And I actually was thrilled, I was wowed, I was entertained. I laughed more than I thought I would, you know what I'm saying? And this wasn't even necessarily a comedy, it was just good banter, it was good screenplay, it was good characters, and it was a great ride. I give this movie an A. If I give it a rating, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I actually really enjoyed it. What about you?
I give it an A.
Yeah.
I give it an A. Yeah, most definitely.
So that is our non-spoiler review for Ant-Man. Hopefully you enjoyed this non-spoiler review. Leave your comments in the comment section below what you all thought about this, if you actually went and saw it tonight. If you're thinking about going to watch it, we highly recommend it. So definitely go and check it out this weekend or tomorrow.
And in 3D though.
Check it out in IMAX 3D. IMAX 3D, if you can. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. This is SEO0320.
It's Joe Johnson.
And we make up JVS.
Yes.
Later everybody. Might come back for a spoiler review. Not sure yet.
Yeah, we gotta do a spoiler, man.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that one fight between you know who and you know who that you didn't expect. Cause that was legit. Yeah, there's a little small tidbit right there. Yeah, man. Later everybody.